Tibesar, when you're ready, please ask your first question.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Tim, I wanted to ask you about Andrzej. I had a couple questions. One was, he just always seems so joyful and charismatic and all that. How does that rub off on other players?
You mean Andrzej?
Yeah, how's his demeanor rub off on other players?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a reason he's been voted captain for the last 2 seasons. Obviously, last year he thought it was going to be a senior season and he'd be done, and got voted by his peers as a captain. I think he's got kind of an infectious personality. And what you really love about Andrzej and his leadership style is he's not afraid to get vocal and kind of let his teammates know what he's thinking. Whether we're having a little bit of a down practice or a down period, he'll pull the whole group together and kind of chew a little butt and get them going. You saw that kind of vocal leadership as well this summer with all the social unrest going on, and being able to talk to his teammates and encouraging them to, share their feelings and message, but do it in a positive way. And, there's a lot of guys that are willing to be leaders by example, but Andrzej's a guy that's willing to be vocal and get in front of the group and team and talk to them and, communicate what's on his mind.
Does he rub off on the old grumpy defensive coaches too, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got it, like you mentioned, he's got a smile on his face. He brings a tremendous amount of energy to every single practice, and so you love that about him and his personality.
And what was just kind of your general takeaway from you guys' defensive performance at Utah?
We didn't make enough plays when we needed to. I mean, I think that was kind of how we felt, probably offense, defense, and special teams. When we had opportunities to make plays, we didn't make enough of them. And, it's the margin between winning and losing is so small. I mean, you could probably take one play from each unit and say, if we made that play, the outcome of the game is completely different. Obviously I know that, Teagan would have liked to have that pass back on that first offensive drive. He catches that, he's in for a touchdown. Obviously we got to make one tackle on that punt return. And, we dropped a couple interceptions. And if we make those catches and make that one tackle, the score probably flips by 10 or 14 points. And so, but that's how, sport is. You got to make those plays when the opportunity comes up. And when you don't, it's hard to win.
Coach, do you have any information on McCartan and any of the other guys who missed last week?
You'll have to talk to Coach Smith about that. I don't talk about the protocol guys or anything like that.
You talked about kind of those missed big plays. Is it frustrating when a lot of other things were going well in the defense? You guys were better on third down. You were good in the red zone in terms of holding them to field goals. Is it frustrating that you were maybe just a couple plays away from that looking like a better defensive performance?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we're improving in certain areas. I thought we took a step backwards in tackling. I thought we had a bunch of opportunities to make plays right at or near the line of scrimmage that we didn't make. And so we just got to keep, rolling up our sleeves and go to work every single day. We know that there's always room for improvement. And I feel that way. There's certain areas that we took steps forward in, but some other ones we took some steps back in, and we're still looking for that complete game, to be perfectly honest. And that's what our goal is. We got to try to put 4 quarters together of really good defense.
Tim, can you kind of just talk about the challenges that Stanford presents and what you've seen out of them the last couple of weeks where they've been playing a lot better?
Yeah, obviously, they struggled out of the gate a little bit. Started out 0-2, and similar to us, and then they bounced back and won the last 2 games. And every game that they've been in, and it has been close, similar to us. And but I think getting Mills back and getting a couple of weeks of practice under his belt for him has been a big difference for their offense. I know they had a great day against Washington on third down, because prior to that they were closer to the bottom of the league, and then they really did extremely well against Washington on third down, and were able to possess the ball for a long period of time. And a lot of people have talked, and when you watch the tape, about Stanford kind of going back to the old Stanford, and you see the extra O lineman on the field, you see 3 tight ends on the field, you see a fullback on the field, And so they're kind of getting back to some of those kinds of roots. And they got a lot of weight out there on the field, that's for sure.
Were you happy with the performance in the first half where you guys were holding them to field goals and putting up some nice stands in the red zone, but I guess the fact that they were still getting to the red zone in the first place, how do you assess that overall?
Yeah, obviously we want to create more 3 and outs against Utah than we did and get the ball back to our offense. I was pleased that on the first 3 drives, especially that, that second drive where after a turnover, they got the ball at the 10-yard line. We did hold them to a 3 and out and forced a field goal attempt there. I thought that was a really critical situation in the game that the defense stood up. But yeah, the other 2, the first and the third drives, we had plenty of chances to get stops earlier in the drive that got him down to the red zone. I was pleased that we were able to make the red zone stops and force field goals, but obviously we're shooting to try to keep them out of field goal range as well.
Avery had, I think,
Coach Avery
21
Roberts.
tackles. Oh, sorry, go for it.
Coach Avery Roberts, 21 tackles the other day. And then after the game, he said he thought that was his worst game of the season. I mean, on paper, it doesn't look like it. But what does that say about Avery as a player and him just kind of dominating with the linebackers?
Yeah, obviously he made a lot of tackles. I'm sure there's, a few more that he didn't make that he wanted to make. And, sometimes he wasn't exactly the right spot from run fit, but his production is extremely high. He's making a lot of plays for us. And it tells me a lot about his character and the kind of football player he wants to be when he's looking for perfection in himself. And despite that number of tackles of saying that, hey, look, I could have played a better football game. And you love that about players who, who are constantly looking to get better.
Anything else for Coach?
Did you think that was his worst game of the year? And how would you kind of, rate his performance?
It's hard for me to, at this point, just to look back on every single game that he's played. Probably when you have 21 tackles, I don't think it was his worst game, but once again, I think, players know themselves, whether they did really well and whether they played at a high level for their own standard. And you like guys with high standards. And so I don't have a problem with him feeling like he could have done better at all.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we have Riley Sharp. When you're ready, please ask your first question.
Riley, I wanted to ask you about Andrzej. What sort of impact does he have on you guys from a charismatic standpoint? He always seems so happy and joyful and all that. Does that have an impact on you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. He's always has a great energy. He's always fun to be around. He just has a great, uplifting spirit about him, which just makes you want to. It just makes the game of football more fun. So being around him and playing with him just makes everything feel a little bit lighter. So it's easier just to kind of cut loose and go and have fun.
Is he always as happy as he seems, or are there times when he's not?
Oh yeah, Andrzej is a great friend. Anytime you talk to him, he's always happy. Whether that's at football or just hanging out, he's always that way.
Riley, can you just talk about some of the challenges that Stanford presents just from your guys' review of the film study this week and whatnot?
Obviously, some of the things that Coach Tibesar already mentioned. They have a lot of weight on the field, so we have to be great at stopping the run and be able to get on our run fits and not get knocked off the line of scrimmage, things like that.
How much has there been an emphasis of continuing to try to start games faster from that run defensive perspective?
I mean, it's always an emphasis. In each game, each week, it's always the most important game. And so we're always emphasizing to be able to stop the run and to make sure that we do a better job at stopping the run than they do. That's just a weekly thing that we're coached. And it's just each week it's emphasized more and more. So.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, Riley.
Thanks.
You guys got Isaac Hodgins. When you're ready, go ahead and ask the first question.
Hey, one of the things I was curious about, a lot of players have mentioned that the coaches on defensive coaches are putting you guys in the right positions. I hear that a lot from players. What is happening at the first part of games where it just seems like it takes a while for you guys to get going on defense? Is it just taking you a while to get into the right places, or how? What do you know? Kind of what's going on there early in the games?
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to executing. At the end of the game, we're executing, but then, you're right at the beginning of games, we got to execute as well. So I think it's just comes down to starting fast, which is one of our team rules, and just got to start fast. Just worry about this next week, and execute and finish plays.
But just curious, have you talked to your brother? I see he had surgery yesterday or a couple days ago.
Yeah, we talked yesterday, and he's doing well, which is good. And thankfully with the surgery, he doesn't have to worry about the shoulder injury that he had anymore. So just praying for a fast recovery for him, and well-being for his family.
Anything else?
Isaac, just talking about the challenges Stanford presents this weekend. They've obviously been playing a lot better the last couple of weeks. Obviously heard from Coach Tibesar and Riley. Just what have you seen out of their defense, and what's really going to be the challenges for you guys starting off fast this week?
On their offense, like challenges in their offense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just like every other team we played this year, they want to make it physical, and that's what they're known for is being in those big personnels and playing physical. So we just gotta play physical as well. We like to play physical too, and just starting fast and executing, because we were in position to make plays last week, and we just got to execute and finish.
Okay, anything else? Thanks, Isaac.
All right, thank you.
All right, last but not least, we got Andrzej. When you guys are ready, please ask your first question.
Good, Brendan. If you got anything, I got.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Andrzej, just kind of talk about just the emphasis on starting fast. We've been talking about it for a couple weeks now, especially in the run defense game. And, we even talked to Jonathan on Mondays, like, hopefully we'll get it figured out this week. For you being a senior leader, what kind of flips the script there and kind of officially puts you guys over that hump where you can start faster in that first half?
I think, we just need to be locked in excuse me. We need to be locked in, more on our assignments the first half. You know what I mean? Just not trying to do like, a whole fill out process, really come out and attack. I think from the first snap all the way to the end, from the first whistle to the last, I think that's going to be a big emphasis, moving on this week and stuff. And yeah.
Coach Tibesar kind of talked about, Stanford going back to their jumbo package, going back to some more of the roots. How much does that make it difficult when they're going to, kind of load up and run right at you?
Coach Tibbs has really been emphasizing, playing physical this week. We know these guys are big. We know they're going to come out and try and run the ball. And, it's going to be up to us to stop them, play physical. I think just do your job this week. I think that's been another theme that's came up all throughout this week is, being locked in from the first snap. And then, at the end of the day, you just got to do your job.
Yeah, Andrzej, I had some kind of personal questions I want to ask you. You always seem happy and joyful and whatnot. Did you get that from your mom or your dad or somebody else or?
I would say that, both sides of my family are very happy people. I had a, good life growing up. And most of all, I just want to be positive to those around me. I want to be positive for all the people in my life and really just, make those around me feel loved and, try and make everyone's day better. That's kind of been something that's always been important to me is like, people are having a bad day, whether it be yourself or, those around you. It's up to you to kind of flip the script and approach life with a good attitude. And that's something that I try to do usually every day. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
We